Okay, hello again. Welcome to our round table, which is not that round, but anyway. And we speak about...
Discussion hub.
It's discussion hub, not really. We'll speak together in many languages, and we'll speak about multilingualism, plurilingualism, flexilingualism, and so on. And let me introduce, without further ado, the speakers. Here in Brno with us, Kateřina Sedláčková from the Masaryk University, and you can speak with her in French and English. And next to her, Romain Racine from the University of Freiburg, and you can speak with him in French and German. And online joined us today Beatriz, Calvo, Martín from the University of Brussels, and you can speak with her in Spanish, French, and English. And in this order, Sabina Gola, also from Brussels, and you can speak French, Italian, or English with her. And Katherine Guertler from OTH Regensburg, Germany, and you can speak in English with her, or in German, or in Spanish. And maybe. And I'm Radim Herold from the Masaryk University, and if you feel the need, you can speak with me as well in German, preferably, or in Czech, preferably, or in English. So, please, it's yours.
Thank you, Radim. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. So before we get started, just a little technical comments how this session will be done, is going to be done. So in the first part, we would like to give you a sort of input in many languages. During this input, we are going to ask you questions. We would like you to give us your replies, your answers. And then in the second part, we would like to have more interactive, we would like to get some suggestions from you or some ideas or, just your thoughts. The main two objectives of this discussion hub are, first of all, to get started a serious discussion about plurilingualism, multilingualism, and all kinds of those perspectives in not only in teaching but also in research. And then we would like to invite you to join us in our community project called flexilingual, but we will speak about it later, so you will get all information needed. And maintenant, je crois qu'on pourrait commencer déjà. Oui, j'ai tout dit. Oui,
exactement.
So, maintenant, je passe la parole justement à Romain pour vous expliquer un peu qu'est-ce qui nous a réunis pour ce projet. Voilà. Oui, voilà.
Exactement. Donc, d'abord, je voudrais remercier, bien sûr, l'Université Masaryk pour l'organisation et l'excellente organisation de ce colloque, dans des conditions quand même un tout petit peu difficiles, mais ça se passe très très bien. Et donc, vraiment, félicitations aux organisateurs de ce colloque. Alors, nous nous sommes rencontrés justement ici à Brno au mois de novembre, après avoir suivi des conférences un colloque, c'était aussi un colloque sur l'enseignement des langues autres que l'anglais. On s'est retrouvés dans le train de Vienne. Nous, donc, une hispanophone, donc Beatriz, une italophone, Sabina, une anglophone, Katherine, Et bon, il y a aussi...
Je suis restée à la maison.
Voilà, vous êtes voilà, restée à la maison, mais voilà, donc on s'est retrouvés dans le train à discuter.
Je vais faire un petit résumé.
Oui.
Just a quick summary in English. Romain explained how we met together. It was last year at the occasion of our conference, Teaching and Learning Languages in the Shadow of Lingua Franca. Even though we had known each other before that conference, but still this idea of making something together came during this conference. And Romain, nos collègues présentent Romain and code switching, code mixing. Romain and virtual colleagues, they met in the train from Brno to Vienna airport. So that's there they came with this idea of our project.
Donc on a eu cette idée, on a commencé à discuter, on a feuilleté une méthode de français, un manuel de français, on a discuté, mais vous, donc en espagnol, comment vous faites? En italien, comment ça se passe? En italien, est-ce que, voilà, pour faire un résumé, comment ça se passe en français, comment ça se passe en italien, etc. Et on a vu que, bon, en fait, on n'a pas beaucoup de ressources et d'informations par rapport à ces tâches et ces activités dans les autres langues. Mais ça nous intéresse beaucoup, hein, voilà, de connaître aussi comment les autres enseignants de langue fonctionnent et ce qu'ils utilisent comme matériel, comment ils travaillent, mais aussi l'esprit, le fonctionnement de ces enseignements. Et on a discuté de fil en aiguille. On arrive à cette idée de créer peut-être un espace, une plateforme où on pourrait avoir des informations sur plusieurs langues et pas des langues séparées, hein. Voilà, donc bon, alors il fallait trouver un nom, on a discuté voilà, comment on pourrait appeler ce projet, et l'idée nous est venue donc de ce mot flexilingual. Hein, voilà, c'est pour ça qu'il y a dans le titre de notre forum de discussion ce mot flexilingual. Bon, alors
je t'arrête maintenant peut-être Romain pour juste faire un petit résumé en
exactement,
anglais.
Très bien.
So just a brief summary in English of this adventure, multilingual adventure. So when Romain, Kate, Sabina and Beatriz, when they met in the train to Vienna airport, they just discussed around one textbook, French textbook, authored by Romain, how they do, what's their typical practice, how they are doing in their respective languages and linguocultural milieu. And they realized that there is no interconnection between different cultures, not only at the level of language, but also at the level of teaching practice and teaching approach. Oui. So that's why they came to this idea to create a sort of shared space for experience and for best practice through different language areas.
Oui, très bien. Et donc, effectivement, vous vous posez la question, oui, alors pourquoi ce terme de flexilingual? Alors pourquoi on n'est pas resté sur les termes existants, voilà, plus communs, disons, donc de plurilinguisme ou de multilinguisme, etc. Et voilà, donc on s'était dit que bon, il faudrait quand même un terme un petit peu plus, voilà, une approche un petit peu plus flexible, justement. C'est pour ça qu'on a choisi ce mot. Alors maintenant, justement, on peut un petit peu parler de ces termes, hein, de ce terme-là.
En fait, la raison pourquoi on a introduit ici cette terminologie, c'est juste... we just displayed this basic terminology, which is well known, at least the term of multilingualism and plurilingualism, which are quite common terms used by or issued by European Council, and commonly used in a common European framework for languages. But still there is this little bit confusion, so just a little reminder, multilingualism always refers to the institutions or countries or areas, so it concerns like geographical or societal community. But plurilingualism is always connected to personal mastery of or use of several languages. So it's one mind using different languages. But still, those two concepts, we finally found them a little bit restrictive. So we choose to inspire ourselves from the term used by Nick Byrne a couple of years ago in his talk, when he mentioned this term flexilingualism, which already this prefix flexi is quite nice and very useful for this context. But in his case, it was quite limited to he accentuated quite a lot the pragmatic approach to code switching. In fact, to the existence of one individual in a multilingual milieu. Donc, so that's the reason. But the main direction of this approach is pragmatism and utility. But our approach would like to be like more open, more flexible, and also we would like to not to be limited only to the professional world. It should concern also like normal life situation, informal and completely.
Oui.
Yeah, natural.
Également au niveau universitaire. Et pas uniquement au niveau d'une approche pragmatique et professionnelle.
Especially, Beatriz, tu peux passer à l'autre diapo. What brought us there, it's especially this context of complete predominance of English language. There is already the term of lotes languages other than English, because it's clear from from many research papers and many research works that already the strategies are completely different, not only for learners but also for teachers. While when they teach languages different than English, as English language is considered like as must, something which is obligatory and not possible to skip. So we just introduce this context. Why? And so that's why the plurilingual perspective, which is so promoted by European Union, is all the time like put somewhere aside without being really practiced. So, and that's why also we would like to attract your attention to the last bullet point with basic concepts like plurilingual future self, ideal multilingual self, or linguistic multi-competence, which quite recently have started to be used, especially for those situations where there is not only one foreign language which is being taught or which is being learned by learners, and they should realize this multiplicity in their minds. It means that that's not learning separate language in separate ways, but there is like a very interconnected coexistence of those learned languages in their minds, and they are helping each other independently on their will, but to be aware of this process would be very helpful for them to learn better those languages. That's why we would like to remind the existence of those concepts.
Très bien.
Bon, donc on va passer à la parole maintenant à Béatrice.
Exactement.
Okay.
Donc maintenant, on va... Voilà, maintenant... Ah, c'est d'accord. Donc maintenant, on va justement... donc mes collègues virtuels vont nous présenter la situation peut-être actuelle telle qu'elle existe en ce moment et parler un petit peu de notre idée également. Alors on passe la parole d'abord à Sabina.
Yes.
Donc du côté italophone. Voilà, donc à toi Sabina.
Buongiorno, buon pomeriggio, ciao a tutti. With my great pleasure, I participated to that talk in the train, that informal talk in the train. And during that talk, we analyzed also the situation in our universities. And we realized that not only at the academic level, but before, so in general in school, language learning is always, there is always linguistic and cultural blocks in learning languages. When we learn a language, for example, Italian language, we don't realize that we can use the same methods we used when we learn English, for example, because teachers are not used to think about it and to tell students that they could use the same methods. Because I teach Italian to French people, and I try to explain to them that they could use their mother tongue to learn Italian language. And so, for example, in our department at the university, we tried to overcome this and to create a platform. Its name is Romanet, for example, for Roman languages. And so to put in dialogue Roman languages, and so students can understand that you could speak French and to learn Italian, and then to learn Spanish or to learn Portuguese, and to open to other languages, and so to overcome that linguistic and cultural blocks. And another thing that I could that I focus on, that there is in teachers comes from different language traditions, and so this has an implication that there is a different language conceptions, and so perhaps it's difficult to have a dialogue between teachers. I had a personal experience because I had the responsible of a project of a multilingual grammar. And when we speak about grammar with people who teach English or to teach French or to teach German, there is a real different conceptions of language, of teaching tradition, and so we spent 1 year discussing about this, and we couldn't try. We couldn't find any agreement about this, and so I think that it's a forma mentis of a lot of teachers that to think in his own about its own language, and not to open to other languages, conceptions, or other teaching traditions. And we think that this linguistic segmentation and this limited professional exchange are negative, are to detriment of both teachers and learners' development. And now the word is to my colleague Beatriz.
Thank you. Grazie. Buenas tardes a todos. I would like to talk about the personal and institutional multilingual initiatives that exist already, because we have a personal experience of this multilingual or flexilingual approach. We have it in our, for instance, when we work in an international work environment and we get to know somebody new from a different background, we tend to switch our language spontaneously to let this person feel welcome and to let him or her understand what we're talking about. So we have a personal experience. There's hope. This happens already in our personal life, but it would be interesting, and that's what we discussed, it would be very interesting to have a more institutional approach to this flexilingual idea. And I will give you 3 examples where we already do it somehow, but on a personal initiative. The first one is teacher training. I don't know how you do it in your universities, but in Brussels, we have teacher training in French and in English, and we switch from one language to the other quite easily. But it's limited to these languages and very rarely to other languages. So it would be very interesting to open that and let other languages also be part of the discussion. The second example are the seminars, bilingual, multilingual, flexilingual seminars. We have some experience as well, but it's based on personal affinities. Like, for instance, Sabina and me, we get on well and we work well together. So we organized 2 years ago a seminar. It was trilingual in Italian, Spanish, and French. French was the lingua franca. And we invited some writers from Spain and from Italy. And we had this discussion, this seminar in the 3 languages with the students, and it went very well, but still limited to our personal initiative and also to these 3 languages. And the best example that we could think of was the conference last year in Brno. That was a really multilingual common project, flexilingual even, I would say, because we were switching from one language to the other in the questions and in the conferences, and it went really, really well. So it was very inspiring, and that's why we decided to take this initiative that we're presenting to you, and that Kate and Romain will explain a bit further. We have some questions about your experience. I will just show them, and maybe we'll leave the questions for the end, and I will pass the word to Kate and Romain.
Alors, je ne sais pas si On peut même déjà un peu...
Peut-être que tu as entendu, Béatrice a dit, on va
on va
directement au diapo.
D'accord, et on revient après sur les questions. Oui. Alors, jetzt benutzen wir noch ein bisschen Deutsch. Und also, ich frage Katherine, was sind denn unsere Ziele für dieses Projekt?
Okay, thank you. I wanted to add one more perspective to this puzzle that we're fitting together, because I am a native speaker of English and I do speak and teach English in my work. And so it was also very eye-opening for me as part of this team to see what other languages from my privileged position, which I did not realize quite how privileged it was. It's been very, very interesting. And so I think that no matter where we are on the spectrum of experiences with other languages or what we teach, that there's a lot to be gained by reflecting on the situation that we're in. And that's really our main objective here, is to promote the understanding of the benefits of multilingualism, plurilingualism, and flexilingualism, that this is something that already happens in everyday life, and that it has benefits for us on a social level, on a personal level, on an economic level, if you have to be that instrumental. So there are definite benefits to it. So we want to create awareness of the ways in which we already switch languages, all of us in business, in our private lives, in university. Within the European Union, we have the goal of native language plus 2 foreign languages. And as we work towards this goal, everyone can use more languages. And so for us as a team, we wanted to think about, okay, so if our goals are to share this awareness, how can we do that? What tools do we have in order to promote these topics among language instructors and in society at large? And so we want to start off relatively small. We're only 4 people with other jobs as well, but we'd like to start off by creating a platform where we can share information with one another about the concepts and about conferences, about publications, etc. And promote academic discourse for these topics so that they receive some more support from the research community, and also then to create a network of researchers who are interested in these topics as well, so that we can sort of build this bridge between language teaching and multilingualism and fill in this current gap that we have in the middle. And overall, we want to continue to encourage this practice, that people can use their languages flexibly, and that then we can all just make the world a slightly better place by being able to communicate with one another. So we have very idealistic goals, and we'll come back to the questions, I think, at the end. And so then we have to get a little bit pragmatic. Can we go forward 2 slides, Beatriz? I think we'll do the questions all at the very end. So,
wie ist die konkrete Umsetzung? Voilà, die konkrete Umsetzung, was stellen wir da vor? Voilà.
Magst du weitermachen?
Non, vas-y. Continue, tout va bien.
Yeah. So we have to do something, right? It's nice to have daydreams. And so we were thinking about how can we take the first steps to build this community. And another comment that we often hear at conferences is we do a lot of networking. Oh, did you hear about this conference? Or are you going to be in Brno next week? But a lot of this is sort of random. And I know that one resource that has helped me a lot has been a particular listserv where they publish conferences, but it's for a different topic. Only sometimes is there something that's actually relevant to my interests. So we wanted to create this sort of communicative network for these topics, for multilingualism, for plurilingualism, for flexilingualism, for breaking down these silos in between different types of language instructors. So the first step is what we're doing now, creating this working group, which we've called flexilingual for now, where we will share our interest in these topics of applied and theoretical concepts related to multi and pluri and flexilingualism. And then as the next step, how can we share our message? We were thinking of creating either or both, maybe just one, a website as a hub where we can share, for example, recent publications or best practices or something that we're still working on developing. That's why we'd like to discuss that with you today. Or maybe, like I said, I've benefited from a mailing list in the past. Perhaps we can also offer a mailing list, like a push email service, as a service to the community, where we can share information about conferences, where people could put questions into the group and get some helpful answers, or we can share a recent publication that we read that we thought was interesting. Some way to put people with similar interests into contact with one another. And that's approximately where we are right now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll turn back over to the people who are physically present and hope that we can get a discussion going.
Vielen Dank. Voilà. Maintenant, un petit peu de discussion. Peut-être que vous avez des questions.
Peut-être on peut revenir aux questions plus haut. Béatrice, tu peux monter. Voilà.
Ah oui.
I had some questions about the experience.
Yeah, with those questions, maybe just to get started our discussion, or what's your impressions? What's your experience from your institutions, and what's the practice? Yeah.
Comment ça se passe, la collaboration entre les différentes langues? Est-ce que vous avez un contact régulier avec vos collègues professeurs de langue, d'une autre langue? Comment ça se passe? Est-ce que vous avez des expériences?
Don't hesitate to reply in any language we mentioned.
Voilà. Moi, français, allemand. Voilà. Français, tchèque, anglais, et puis espagnol, italien, voilà. Voilà, et allemand, deutsch, voilà. Donc, est-ce que vous avez des silos? Est-ce que l'organisation c'est des silos? Voilà, le français, l'allemand, l'anglais.
The cooperation through your language centers, if your colleagues, if the cooperation is only like French professors, professors of teachers of English, teachers of German, or if it's mixed all together, what's your practice?
Or what do you think about our idea? If you think it's interesting to have this network, maybe. Because we have many questions, so pick any. If you want to comment. Could you imagine yourselves participating in this network?
Yes, and where do you come from? You are you from Brno, or from the another country or university?
Qui vient de Brno?
We're from Prague.
Ah, Prague, d'accord. Ah oui.
Yeah, some people from Prague.
D'accord, Prague, Brno. Brno, oui, voilà, exactement. Fribourg. Fribourg aussi. Voilà. Et alors,
So what do you think?
comment...
Okay, I can start.
Yeah.
I love this idea, of course, and it gets very well together with what I'm going through in my research, because I got to a stage where I feel like, it takes more actually, and I think this is a very nice possibility of expanding the knowledge, let's say, about what's going on in our minds if they contain more languages. So I would love to be part of this. Yeah.
Ah.
And as to your question,
Can you hear Linda? Yeah.
yes. Right. As to teaching the languages, so through my research, actually, I think I'm quite well connected with my colleagues from other linguistic backgrounds, let's say. In my teaching, not so much, which is probably quite natural. So I stick to the guys who teach Czech for foreigners, right? and the didactic part I do not mix with other people. So I wonder if it's the same.
Maybe there is one question which came to my mind just now. Are you encouraging your students to take benefit from their knowledge, previous knowledge of other languages, or you just concentrate on your language you are teaching? You remind them that you are, in fact, they are plurilingual and they could very easily take benefit from that. What do you do?
Yes, I do, but I teach Latin, so it's
yeah.
So there are a lot of connections. So I want to just
the real lingua franca, not the fake one, the current.
To say the same, because I also am a teacher of Latin, so that's normal for us. You know, that we try to find common things in different languages.
But in fact, you have the key to all languages, so it's quite. It's a little different position.
True. Yeah, I refer to Latin. I mean, the bits and pieces that are left in my head. Yeah, so that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe some.
I think that sometimes people say that I'm not plurilingual or something like that, but when I just ask them, they would say, okay, but basically I'm from Ostrava, so I know some Polish, and I know some Slovak, and I know Czech, and I learn English, and I learn German or whatever, but they would say that they are not plurilingual. I say, but what's that? You actually have 5 languages. I know they are not perfect. But
yeah, that's exactly this idea of plurilingual or multilingual self, of this self-conception is extremely important because, as you perfectly mentioned, people are not aware about this fact. They are just, I think it's also the fact of the sort of deformation of our school system or educational system, which requires always perfection, and people are always shy to say something in a foreign language if they are not sure that their phrase will be really correct. So that's also the result or consequence of this approach, which is strongly anchored in our culture. Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, because nowadays people learn from what my father said is bubble textbooks. So you have no real concept of the language. You just have some phrases and situations, and you put the phrases together with situations.
It's communicative approach.
Communicative approach, yes, as pure communicative approach. But if you teach something as the background, they would realize, oh yes, I know this. And this is the same in German, this is the same in Russian, this is the same in different languages, in Latin, whatever. So if they realize that, then it might help with plurilingual and multilingual as well.
Yeah, maybe we should remind our students just to. Can you put that? Can you find any
link?
Any similarities or any vestiges? Des vestiges, comment on dit?
Traces?
Traces. Oui. Any traces from other languages in this text, in this particular language? It could also
okay, if you give them the text and you say, okay, you don't know it, but can you guess? Do you know the word? Do you know the frame of this word? Maybe it's somewhere in other language. Is it similar to some other language? Then it might help as well.
Kate, Sabina, Beatriz, avez-vous des questions encore à poser?
A little comment. I would like to say that it will be very interesting in our institutions to have intercomprehension courses in, for example, in language of the same family. For example, Roman languages, German languages, Slavic languages, and it could be really very interesting to have some courses like that near the normal course of language, but to learn students that it could learn easier a lot of other languages, and not to learn them from A to Z, but only if they are interested, for example, for a hobby, to speak German because they are passionate of German football, for example, I don't know, and they have to go to Germany because they need to go there, and so I think that it's important to empower the students and to tell them that other languages exist, and it will not so difficult to approach them.
Any questions or comments at this moment? Peut-être, Béatrice, est-ce que tu pourrais passer à la diapo finale avec nos contacts?
Oui.
Maybe if you have later some questions, or if you maybe you might want to join us in our community project, so feel free to write us an email. Just we can put it on your disposition. If you are interested, we would be really happy to have our community getting bigger.
Oui, parce que quelles seraient les ressources intéressantes pour vous à trouver sur cette plateforme? Welche Ressources könnten Sie interessieren zu finden, konkret, um konkret Informationen zu bekommen? Was wäre interessant für Sie?
What kind of sources, practical sources, would be interesting for you?
Est-ce que ce serait des liens vers links, zum Beispiel, des liens vers des sites, là, du coup, monolingues, mais très bien fournis, voilà, donc d'un côté, mais rassemblés sur une plateforme, et après, on pourrait avoir vraiment un très bon site, voilà, en passant par un lien sur côté italien ou côté espagnol, etc. Un des Links zu solchen Plattformen oder auch konkrete Ressourcen, zum Beispiel für, alors justement en français par exemple, pour réaliser des comptes rendus. Also auf Deutsch eben gibt es nicht so genau die Entsprechung. Wie eine Art Zusammenfassung, ich weiß auch nicht genau wie, parallèle, oui. Est-ce que ce serait intéressant d'avoir quelque chose pour avoir le contraste entre les deux, die Zusammenfassung wie macht man eine Zusammenfassung auf Deutsch, wie macht man eine Zusammenfassung auf Französisch? Qu'est-ce qui pourrait être utile? Qu'est-ce qui pourrait vous être utile? Was könnte Sie interessieren, auch für das Lateinische?
I think links are really useful to get some more information.
Et comme ça, on peut sauter voilà, sur un site latin, voilà, le latin, sur un site en français, Ah oui. D'accord.
Especially maybe we should also have there like sort of plurilingual and multilingual sources, like to research-based or research dedicated to this problematic. Maybe not like separately different languages, but sort of like to enhance this coexistence and flexibility in approach to the language learning and teaching.
Donc aussi des articles un petit peu plus scientifiques voilà, sur cette problématique. Also, wissenschaftliche Artikel zum Thema.
Chers collègues virtuels, est-ce que vous avez encore des questions ou commentaires?
C'est très intéressant d'inclure les latins aussi. Donc,
oui.
Ça, c'était une bonne idée aussi. On n'avait peut-être pas pensé, mais c'est très intéressant. It's a good idea, thank you. We will also include Latin and let all the languages that are alive be part of the flexilingualism that we're exploring.
Voilà, donc de toute façon, les idées sont les bienvenues. Eure guten Ideen sind willkommen. Ah, donc, vous pouvez nous écrire, et surtout à Kateřina Sedláčková.
Surtout à moi.
Et voilà, donc...
Yeah, the site would be hosted at our language center website, so yeah, that's why
voilà.
it's mentioning me, but it will be just a commune project of all of us, so it's not like, yeah. So, any question, last possibility?
Encore d'autres questions, des remarques, Bemerkungen, d'autres idées?
So, Radim, are there any questions from chat?
No.
No. Okay, yeah. So, thank you very much. Thank you for coming, participation,
pour votre présence.
Maybe one day in the future we will flexilingually meet
voilà.
somewhere.
Nous nous appelons maintenant des flexilinguistes. Hein, ça c'est notre nouveau. C'est pas hein, les 4 flexilinguistes ici.
Ah, nous sommes 5.
5, voilà. Et maintenant, voilà, vous êtes d'autres flexilinguistes. Voilà.
Yeah.
Best regards to.
Yeah.
Best regards to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Voilà.
Gracias.
Merci beaucoup.
Grazie.